So today we're going to talk about setup blocks. Setup blocks, often very overlooked and always kind of assumed everybody knows what they're doing with a setup block. Not necessarily true. So we're just going to give you a little run through on how these work and why you use them. Hi, I'm Billy Dietrich, sprint car mechanic and driver. I've been around racing my whole life and it's pretty much all I know. We created this channel to share the good, the bad, and everything in between. I'm also going to share some tutorials on basic 410 mechanics and parts and whatever else I feel like. So, like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Yeah, boys! First of all, setup blocks, these are adjustable, many different heights. So you can go from anywhere from 2 inches to 4 inches, depending on the block. And the most common mistake used with the setup block is not adjusting it properly. For instance, we have a raised rail car. It's an 8740 Maxim. The left side rail is raised 1 inch. Hence the difference in height, 1 inch difference. And the reason that is important is a lot of teams move out of other divisions and do not have a raised rail car. So when they go to set their car up and use the block, they go off a setup sheet. And on the setup sheet, it may say use a 4-inch block in the back and a 3-inch block in the front. That's okay for the right side of the car, but you need to adjust accordingly for the raised rail. Most cars are 1-inch raised rail, but there are a few instances where the car may be a 1/2 inch difference or 3/4 of an inch. I have seen it, but it's not real common. So refer to your setup sheet and you need to adjust accordingly. So it's really important. It often gets overlooked. It's something we just kind of take for granted when we talk to new customers. You know, just block it 3 and 4. Or if you're going to square the car, you're going to block it 4 in the front and 6 in the back. But it's important to note you need to adjust for the raised rail. So let's just talk about the actual setup block itself a little more in depth. Let's go back in time a little bit. And this was our typical setup block for most people, just in a 2x4 or any piece of wood you had. You just chop it off to the desired height and you used it. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can still use these today at times. We just put them in there, but the only downfall of the 2x4 setup block was you'd have a block for each height you wanted. So at the end of the day, you end up with a whole drawer full of setup blocks in your trailer, and you're rummaging through them, trying to get what you need. So the nice thing about the new setup blocks is they're adjustable. And they are magnetic. So when you attach these to the car and you sit them on the frame rail, they hold themselves there. Where the 2x4, obviously you need to have 2 guys, one on each side of the car, and then you had to jack it up where they would fall on the ground. So these are adjustable setup blocks. We sell these here at Racers New and Used Parts Warehouse. We actually sell the Moose block, which is adjustable just like this. It's at anywhere from 4 inches. These are front blocks. These are short. And you get all the way down to 1 3/4 inches. All you got to do is you change the insert. Boom, different block height. Just on the insert adjustment. So that's what we got here. Adjustable blocks. Super neat. Super convenient. Can use them. You can adjust them on the fly at the track, and you want to raise the nose without cranking the weight. Boom, you can just change the height of the block, shove it in there, zero it out, and you're good to go. So we'll have a link on the description to this video of our website. We got the blocks in stock. You can always give us a call. Okay, so we're going to install our front setup blocks under the axle. Our 3.5 inch block is going to go on the right side, and our 2.5 inch block is going to go on the left side. 1 inch raised rail all the way through. The whole left side of the car is 1 inch raised rail, so we're going to be 1 inch shorter. One thing to note before we do this Depending on what your desired block height is, you may have to unhook the left front shock. Due to the shortness of the block, the shock could hold the axle off of the block. So if you have a short stroke shock, or you have a short, say you move this to 2 inches, more than likely the shock will not extend long enough to let the axle rest on the block. So we're going to install the blocks. And as we jack the car up, you'll see the frame come up and the axle come down, and the axle will rest on the setup blocks. We make sure the block's square under the axle. Good to go. So once we get our car up in the air on the blocks, what we typically do here is we use our jack stands. We actually have them, marked just so it's easier. We mark them left front, right front. Here again, due to the height of the jack stand, they don't fit on each side, so it's just easier to put a mark on there. We got a mark, and you just grab them and slide them under the frame, and you're good to go.
Go.
So we're going to basically repeat the process in the back. We have our jack stands here again, marked right rear and left rear. And we have our setup blocks under the rear axle. Just like the front end, we got a 1 inch difference. We got a 4 inch in the right side and a 3 inch in the left side. So we're just going to put the jack under the center of the car, right behind the floor pan, and we'll proceed to jack it up. We have our rear wheels already broke loose. So when we get the thing up on blocks, we don't have to try and break the wheels loose and end up knocking the blocks out. Okay, so now we got the car up on the setup blocks, and we got our 3 and a 4 in the back, our 3.5 and 2.5 in the front. We got the wheels off. I pulled the stops off. And I'm going to show you how to put the car up on squaring blocks. Now we will have a video later about how to square the car and what blocks to use, and we'll run through all that front and back. But just for this video, is just specifically for the setup blocks. So just going to jack it up now. And we're going to change blocks. So I'm going to pull, look out. Whoa, almost went down. I'll pull the pin out, change the insert to a tall insert, because we got to go to a 5 inch on the left and 6 inch on the right. So we're going to just swap that out. So we're 5 inches there. And we're going to move this one, swap it out. And we're going to put our tall inserts in there and go to 6 inches. So this will be our squaring blocks. Like I said, 6 inches on the left. 5 on the right. So now we adjusted our blocks. So now we adjusted our blocks from our rod height blocks to our squaring blocks. So here again, we're at 5 inches on the left, 6 inches on the right. So now we're ready to, when we get to that step, we'll be ready to square the car.
It's recording.
Oh, it's recording.
Yeah.
I'm like waiting for you to like give me a cue, like looking at you. Okay. So now we're gonna move to the front of the car. Basically repeat the same thing we did in the back, except for in the front we're gonna go to a 4-inch. Here again, this is for squaring. We'll get into details later on. We'll get into more in-depth details later on how to set the car up. But we're at a 4-inch now. Put that under there. We'll move to the left side and then we'll adjust that block accordingly. Change the insert because it has a short insert. Oop. 3-inch, 1-inch raised rail car. Boom. So there's basically just a video for how to adjust your setup block accordingly for a 1-inch raised rail car, and you can adjust that per your car if you didn't have a raised rail car, or if it was 1/2 inch or something different. Maybe it's just raised rail in the back, then you'd have to change your front blocks to meet that accordingly. So that's basically just a little tutorial on the proper use of a setup block for putting your car up on the setup blocks, your rod height blocks, and then for your squaring blocks if you're going to square the car. So more videos to come as far as what we do next and how we choose which block height to use for setting the car up and getting your ride heights. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and you can always go to our website, billydietrich.com, for our merchandise, what we got going on there. And we'll put a link in the description below for our RUPW, Racers New and Used Parts Warehouse. And you can always give us a call if you have any questions.